Hello people, I hope your day or evening is going well wherever you are on the face of the planet. Did it ever cross your mind that it's somehow strange that pyramids seem to exist almost everywhere on Earth except for North America? Well, what if I told you that pyramids do exist in North America? And that finding those pyramids, you have to solve a riddle. Except you don't have to solve it because I've solved that riddle for you. But before I get into the riddle, I'll tell you a little story. When I was a child, we went to visit my great-grandmother, who lives in a little town, well, it's no longer little, called Louisville, Kentucky. And while we were there visiting, she decided to take me to the Science Museum. And while we were at the Science Museum, they had an Egyptian exhibit. As strange as it may seem, at the front of that exhibit was an Egyptian sarcophagus. But the strangest thing of all about this one is that it was pulled out of the river, the Ohio River to be exact. So how is it possible that an Egyptian sarcophagus would exist in the Western Hemisphere and be pulled out of a river? Very interesting. Well, the riddle breaks down like this. In Washington, there exists something called the Lincoln Memorial. And at the front of that memorial sits Abraham Lincoln, a very large statue of him. Now Lincoln's gazes straight towards the obelisk, or the Washington Monument, which is an Egyptian obelisk. In fact, his gaze, if you were to measure, stares directly at the base of the obelisk. Beneath the obelisk, there is a pyramid, which some may or may not know exists. However, the riddle continues, because when the sun is behind the obelisk, when the sun is behind the Washington Monument, the Monument of Washington, this Egyptian obelisk casts its shadow in the water, pointing directly back at Abraham Lincoln. So what are the parallels? If you will, I'd like you to take a $1 bill or note and lay it in front of you. Then I would like you to get a 1-cent penny and sit that in front of you as well. So the parallels that you have here is the $1 bill, which Washington is on, and the 1 cent, which Lincoln is on. If you will notice, Lincoln is facing towards George Washington, if that is on the face side. However, if you flip that $1 over, you will notice that Lincoln is staring directly at the pyramid. Now, some of you may or may not know, but at the age of around 2 years old, Lincoln lived in a little place called Knob Creek, which is very similar to a place in Kentucky. Not far from this place in Kentucky called Knob Creek is a place where the national treasure is housed, the true national treasure, and that place is called Fort Knox. And so the riddle goes is, if Lincoln as a child at the age of 2 were staring towards the east, as some do, then he would be gazing directly at that pyramid. So you might be amazed to know that when I found this pyramid, I came to notice that it had some very interesting similarities. In fact, this pyramid that I found was in this place called Louisville, Kentucky. And the pyramid itself is a place called Iroquois Park. Now, to some this might sound absurd, however, I assure you that if you take a map of the Nile River, including also the pyramids of Giza, you will notice that the location in which the North American pyramids are in is almost exactly the same distance as the pyramids of Egypt are to the Nile River. And so the Ohio River being almost that exact same distance. However, there is one difference. It appears that it is transposed, almost like a mirror image. In fact, The way that the river moves and flows is almost in the exact same way as the Nile River flows. But of course that would be absurd, wouldn't it? Unless, of course, you found your way to the Iroquois Pyramid, and you climbed to the top. And at the top, you found a small structure that was symbolic for a capstone. And that capstone representing the eye that Abraham is looking at on the back of the $1 bill when you set them side by side. So there are pyramids in North America. So pyramids in North America do exist. But the question is, what are Egyptian pyramids doing in North America? Good question. Take a look.